Well, we're on the way up to the boat and look, we've got sunshine. I've actually got up this morning, it was a bit cold, but the sun's come out and it's warmed up. We're actually sitting at 6 degrees right now. So, can I get up there and do some fiberglassing? I can't actually believe we've got blue skies and sunshine. No wind, it's an absolutely beautiful day. Perfect for getting this boat done. So let's get up there. Welcome to Cardigan Bay Fishing Adventures, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is David Barber and we're about to start work on the boat. You can see it just over my shoulder there. Little bit of sun shining on it. That boat, not this one. So she's got a little bit of sun on her today. You can see all of this wood was stacked up, but the wind was that strong. It's actually blew things around the shed. But there we go, look. There she is. I did quite a lot of sanding after the last episode and video. You can see down there. What I'm trying to do is get rid of this checkering. It's an absolute nightmare. So what I'm going to have to do is hit it with a flat disc, as you can see here, which is making a right mess of it, and then sand it out. The gun holes are actually coming up all right. They're not too bad if you look down them. So yeah, we've done a lot of sanding on all the raw fiberglass, on all of that side. I've even done up here a little bit, all around the windows, around the front, and even up the top there. I was also standing on top of that cuddy roof. It's absolutely solid. I weigh around 90 kilos and it took my weight, not a problem. So yeah, it's built super strong. That will potentially become a seat for anyone fishing up on the bow. I'm gonna get a cup of tea on the go, get a cup of tea made. My scales are in the car warming up because they won't work because they're actually too cold. But the temperature in this shed's so much better. When I got up here, it's saying 5 degrees on the car, which, yeah, it's cold, but I don't feel cold. When it's 0 degrees, -1 and 1 degrees, it is cold up here. This is bearable, and I'm going to fiberglass. So I'm not sure what I'm fiberglassing yet. I'm going to have a look now, make a decision, and then we'll start glassing. This is the other half of the bulkhead for the steering. I'm going to go through this step by step to show you how I'm going to glass it. There was a couple of questions online, Facebook, I think it was Instagram as well. How have you got the fiberglass so flat? It's purely because it's a mould. This is smooth, glassy smooth. So when I put the glass onto this, that's the finish on the outside. What I need to do is put a radius along that edge there, just so we've got a nice rounded edge on the outside of the mould. I got told this would not work, but I can assure you it does because I've used it and done it. This is a very cheap block of oven baked clay. I'll try and show you the label on the front. So all I do with this is pull a chunk off, basically. It is wet and sticky, but what I'll do now is literally roll it in my hands, loads, get it really warm, and it works perfect. I did it on the other side of the mould, and yeah, it worked a treat. So I'll just keep playing with this now, just to get it nice and warm. And then what we'll do is make little sausages out of it, put it into the groove at the back, and then use like a giant lollipop stick or a mixing stick, and we'll get a nice radius on it. So yeah, you don't need to do too much with it. Just, I'll find, fold it, roll it, fold it, and roll it, and it gets a bit of heat into it and makes it so you can use it easier. This is probably, yeah, this will be fine. Once you get it to the point where it's leaving your fingerprint in it, like that, it works great. So pull off a very small piece, about that small, roll it into a sausage, just like that, and then we'll press it into the corner. I will show you this closer. And that is literally what I'm going to do all the way along. I'm hoping you got a decent view from there. So literally, little thin sausage. And then literally just press it into place at the back, like this. And what we're going to do is do that all the way along. And then we'll use the lollipop stick to get a nice radius on it. So you get one of these. There's a little lollipop stick. And you want that edge there, right in the corner. Keep it equal and run along. Literally just like that. There's not enough clay there, so we can just run back, and that'll be it. I'm hoping you can see that on the camera. It might be a bit difficult to see. What I'll do is take you a little bit closer, just to try and show you. I'm hoping you can see the radius on it there. So it gets it a really nice finish. Hopefully you can see that there. The fiberglass doesn't stick to it. It peels away nicely. The clay does go hard. I think the fiberglass, when it kicks and goes off, I think it cooks the clay. So it does go hard once it's finished. But it works fine, and it's cheap. It's really cheap. It's cheaper than filleting wax. And it does the job. I'm going to carry on doing this, getting this mould ready. And then we'll start cutting glass to size and get ready to fiberglass it. I'm holding the camera now just to show you the mould. The mould is actually ready. You can see the filleting, as you call it, along that back edge is all done. I've acetoned the whole surface. The only issue I'm going to have with this mould is this crack running along here. It's not huge, but what's going to happen with that, the resin is going to go through it. So when I pull this out the mould, on the finished side of it, there is going to be a little ridge which I'm going to have to sand off and sort out. That is the only issue. There's a little bit up here as well. So other than that, I'm going to get 450 chop strand right there, do a layer of 450 all over it, maybe 2 layers of 450. Then I'm going to start going over it with 600 chop strand and woven to get some strength in there. So the time consuming part is getting this ready to glass. Once we actually start putting the glass in, it goes very quickly. Doesn't take long at all. So yeah, I'm going to get that chop strand now, lay it in place and cut it to the shape. Or, well, I'll probably be ripping it, to be honest. Rip it to the shape of the mould. And yeah, we'll start getting resin mixed up and start getting it glassed. So I've just mixed up a batch of resin. It's 5 kilos. What I've done with this, I've mixed it at 2%. Normally I mix everything at 1. So it's 5 kilos of resin and then 100 grams of catalyst. So basically what I'm going to do is coat all of this in resin quickly. I'm going to put the glass on. I'm going to pour the resin on and start rolling it out. I wouldn't advise doing big batches like this in a big tub like this. It has a thermo reaction, I think it's called. The deeper the resin is inside the tub, the hotter and quick it gets hot really quick basically. There's no heat in this yet because it's probably so cold in here, so I can get away with it. If this was summer, do not do this because you won't use it quick enough. It'll go like a block, and this deep of resin will probably set on fire with the reaction that it has. So basically, I've got a roller behind me. I'm literally going to roll it all on, the resin, get all this coated nicely in resin, get the chop strand on, and just do it as quick as I can. Get it on there, roll it out, consolidation roller, that sort of thing. But we'll crack on with it now and get it done. So what I'm doing is decanting into a roller tray. Basically, we just need to get a good coat of resin all over this board. May as well just pour it on. So yeah, we want to get a nice coat all over it. And what this will do is help to pre-soak the matting from the underside. It basically just makes wetting it out a lot easier. And roughly, each layer on this mould is going to take 1 kilo of resin. It does suck it up, it uses a lot. Next part, chop strand, which we've got right here. It's ready to go on. It's in the orientation that I need. We'll drop it into place. The key to doing this sort of job is everything needs to be to hand. You need to have everything ready to go. And if you've got everything ready to go, it'll go nice and smooth. And literally, pour it on. Get the resin on there. To be fair, I probably don't need to use the tray anymore. I'll be able to just do it like this. And the faster you get it on, the better. Especially in the summer, this time of year, you don't have to panic. I'm going to do as many layers as I can with the 5 kilos of resin. So at the moment, I'm not worried about air, nothing like that. I just want to wet it out really, really well, all over, and get the layers on. This layer has to be wet out like really, really well and get rid of all of the air, because this is going to be the finished layer on the outside. So we need to make sure it's done really well. You don't have to worry too much about excess resin because it will soak into the mat going on top of all of this. So as you can see, everything ready. That's the key. I do need to be quick because there will be a thermo reaction in this bucket like I was saying earlier, and it will start to kick inside the bucket. So what I've got here is a consolidation roller. That's a fin roller. So basically I'm going to roll over everything. There's little air pockets here and there, get all the air out, and get it to meet up nicely on that edge. So we'll do the edge first, like this. Then we'll roll that piece at the top. Then we'll roll the surface. It changes it completely once you start to roll it. I'm not putting loads of pressure, look. Literally just the weight of the roller. If you decide to start pressing and pushing, you will push the resin out and you'll cause dry areas. I just want to make sure it's in that corner nicely, because that's going to be the finished corner on the outside. Which, that's good. Make sure it's sitting nice and flat up here. Get rid of any excess resin or bubbles. This layer is very important to get right, because you're going to see this on the outside, like I've said a few times. Sorry for repeating myself. It's really important. I can't stress it enough. Be careful when you roll from there out, because you can pull the matting out of the corner. I'm happy with that. So, next layer of chop strand, which is right to hand, right here, in the right position, and we'll get it on. What you need to be mindful of now, get this into position. Once you press it into place, if you start dragging it, you're going to move the mat underneath. So I'll gently, like this, gently walk it in to all the corners everywhere. And I've just done it myself, look. See what I've done? I've caught the mat along the back and I've pulled it off. That's what you've got to be careful of. And what you don't want is it sticking to itself, because we'll lose it. So now this is a problem which I didn't want. I'm happy it sort of happened so I can show everybody on the video. But this is now going to be a nightmare to stay up. It's going to want to keep dropping back down. But don't panic. And get it back up and on. Problem is now it's stretched the glass. So it's going to want to create fingers. That's the problem. That's good. So this is the way you want to do it. Walk it into the corner, like that. This is perfect. The resin's changing colour fast, so it's kicking. We don't have long. Basically, this is the thermal reaction that's happening, and it happens fast. And ideally, you want to wait until you've got warm weather. But as you know, I need to get this boat finished. So I'm working with what we got. There's a lot of excess resin on this. It'll be fine because the next layer will soak it up. I did actually pour too much onto this. I just don't want to lose it off the edges of the mould, so you don't need to get too heavy with this roller now. I just want to make sure we're still keeping it in that corner so it's not pulling it out. And after this now we're going to go over it with roving. I've done 2 layers of chop strand just to stop any print through. If you only did 1 layer of chop strand, it might print through the roving. So basically I'm going to carry on with this, doing exactly what I'm doing here in stages. I'll bring you back when we get nearer the end. It's basically the same process over and over and over again. Some of this roving on to show you. This is the reinforcing part. This is the strength, basically. And it goes on so easy. It's really nice to work with. We do have a big piece of roving up there. So my plan is put some of this in just to help support this corner, like I'm doing. Another layer of chop strand over it, because you can't stick roving to roving. It doesn't mate well. So over the top of this, I'll go over with 600 chop strand, full piece of roving, and that'll be it for today. We'll do some more next time we're up here. Make sure that is in that corner nice. And as you can see, the excess resin is being taken up by that roving. The 600 matting, that drinks resin. This matting is 450. I think it's called 450 GSM. It's the weight. It's that roll behind there. So we'll roll over these quickly. Make sure there's no air, which there isn't. I can see that. It's gone down nice. I'll have to place it on this front edge first and then lay it out. This chop strand was folded. I brought it from NAB fiberglass as offcuts. It's cheaper. So you can actually see the lines in it. That will flatten out. just a bit more work to get it to flatten out, but it will flatten out. I do need to be careful now with the layers, oversaturating it because we're getting closer to the top. So yeah, I'll carry on with this. I'll bring you back when we get towards the end. What we've done, that last layer just in, the 600 chop strand, we've got that on, and now we've got a full piece of woven. Woven. It goes up the side there, and it's covering the whole panel. I'm hoping you can see it here. It's a different sort of material. What I'd normally say in summer conditions, only do 4 layers, let that go off, and then come back and do more layers on top. We are using laminating resin, so we don't need to sand it or anything. We can just fiberglass straight back on it the next day. What I'm going to do with this, I've done 2 chop strand, I've done a bit of woven, another chop strand, now another woven. I am going to be putting a 5th layer on top. Because of the temperatures, I'll probably get away with it. We'll find out. I'm hoping it'll be fine. You got to watch because it gets too hot in the glass as it starts to kick. But I'm going to get the next piece on now because I need to get it finished. So this is the final layer, and this is also 600 chop strand. It's pretty difficult stuff to work with, to be honest. It gives you the thickness in the fiberglass that you need to layer it up. But that's 5 kilos of resin, believe it or not. Goes quick. I do think we'll need to mix up more. We'll see now. It is surprising how far it will go on the last layer. I've just mixed up another ½ kilo. I don't think the 200-300 grams would have been enough. So I'll try and get this on, and hopefully this extra ½ kilo is more than enough to get it finished. So what I'll do, once this is finished now, I'll leave this to go off completely, go hard. It'll be next week now, but I'll come back next week, hopefully if the temperatures are all right, like today, and I'll basically do the same again with what I've just done. Once you look at it and you can say to yourself, this is done, stop messing. Need to get this edge good now, along here, and then I'll stop. Otherwise, you end up messing and messing and messing, and you never know when to stop. I'm doing it right now. Because I want to make sure this edge is good. Perfect. Something you wouldn't normally see. I'm sat in my living room cutting sandpaper. Obviously I've brought a 50-meter roll of it, so I'm sat here. I'm actually watching a new channel I've not watched before. LRS Fishing. He's just brought a Wilson flyer. So I'm just watching the videos of people fishing on the boats while I cut flipping sandpaper. It's just part of this boat build that you don't really see. I wouldn't normally video this, but my wife's in Cardiff doing a uni course. So I'm sat in the living room with a pair of scissors, cutting this sandpaper out, piece by piece. I was up at the boat today doing sanding. After about 10-15 minutes, you've got to stop, start cutting out more. It just takes too much time. It's just so slow. The next problem with this is you got this for the sander. It's got to be perforated, but I need to fit it to the sander, and you've got to pop this through just so I can use dust extraction. So yeah, thought I'd give you a quick show of behind the scenes, what I do. So I'm literally sat here just, yeah, using one of them as a template and cutting them out. Yeah, I don't know who this LRS Fishing is, but seems all right, the channel does. So watch a few videos and see what it's like. It's a nice boat that he's brought. It looks very tidy. So fingers crossed it goes well for him. Anyway, I'm going to keep chopping this, and I'll see you back down the boat once I've got these done. So this is about a week later since the last clip. The mould is now finished. That day when I did the video with you all, I did about 5 layers, wasn't it? I did a mixture of woven and chop strand on that video. Since then, I've come back, I've done another 5 layers. We've done a mixture of chop strand and woven. What I did do is a little test so I could show you what happens when you don't do something. When we first started, I did it with 2 layers of chop strand, then the woven to stop print through, if you remember. This top layer right here, I did a layer of woven in the middle, which doesn't matter. This is on the inside of the cupboard. You're never going to see it. And I've gone over it with a single layer of chop strand. And you can see what I was saying. You've got print through. So it's nothing bad. It's flat, it's smooth, but you can actually see the woven patch in there, which you don't want to see on a finished surface. So that is why you do 2 layers of chop strand to stop that happening. But as you can see, the mould's complete. What we're going to do now, cut around the outside of the mould, get it all trimmed up ready. And then we've got the other part of the mould over there, which I'm going to stick together. I'll grab it quickly and show you what I mean. So as you can see, this is the other part of the mould. Basically, that's got to go on there, like that. And that's going to be the bulkhead. I'm not sure on the width I'm going to have yet, but we will work that out. And I can tell you something else, it's not been cheap to make these. We've used, what is it total? I've used between 20 and 25 kilos of resin, and it's been 10 layers of matting. It's been 20 layers of matting on both parts. It's been quite expensive. So when you look at moulds online of moulded parts with gel coat and everything, that's why they're not cheap. Materials cost a lot. Anyway, let's start trimming this up and let's try and break it out of the mould. You probably can't see me on the video. We've got a little bit of sun coming in, so you may have a bit of flare on the camera. You might be able to see a bit of the light. What we've got, gloves, which is important, a multi-tool right there, so we can cut the edges off. And I've got a good respirator mask there because of the fiberglass dust. So you do want to be protected and you do want to be wearing PPE. Well, I'm holding the camera here. You can see we have trimmed it all, cut it all out. So the plan is now we have to split the mould. You can see the thickness of the glass there. So we've got a little pry bar. We're going to knock it in here with a hammer and try and pry it off. We are going to have problems along here, if you remember, because the way the wood was joined and there was that gap. So I'll set the camera up behind me now and we will start trying to pry this off. And hopefully it's worked. So there we go, look. Oh. Obviously with this, you would be better with wedges. Put wedges in and keep knocking them in a little bit further. I obviously don't have any. What you don't want to do is put the glass under too much pressure and crack it, because you could crack it. Like along here now, it is stuck like I thought it might be. I've got a feeling when we pop this side up, all of this will release pretty well. Yeah, it's releasing right along up here now. It is damaging the wood, unfortunately, but yeah, you can see it's lifting off now. We do have wood stuck along this edge, so it's part of this strip, which I did think would be an issue. But you can see here, the mould's come apart nicely. There we go. You heard it, the little sound. It should lift up and peel off, but down here might not be great. Fingers crossed this has worked all right. It's the last half. Oh my God, it's perfect. It's worked really well. It's actually better than I thought it'd be. A lot better. Look at that. Nice and glassy finish. We can knock this wood off. And you can see here the radius. I'll show you closer, but the clay scrapes off, leaving perfect radius there. Look at that. Here you go, you can see that radius there, look. And you can also see the thickness in the glass. There's the panel. So that's the second half, and there's the first half. This line of what I said a bit crap isn't actually too bad, look. You can see, that'll sand off. I don't think you'll even know there was a join in that wood. You can see it all there. Absolutely perfect. And like I said with the clay, it goes hard, look, so it doesn't come off very easy. You're gonna have to give it a light sand, I suppose. Give that a light sand and get the clay off. And that'll be it. Get these joined together. So as you can see, this is sort of the idea. I want to fiberglass them together like this. The camera angles may be a bit funny, but I'm going to try and show you. The plan is fiberglass them together like this. I'm not sure if it's deep enough. I think I might want it deeper. If that's the case, I'll just spread them apart a little bit. I'll fiberglass on the melamine, which then I'll create like a joining mould, if you want to call it that. So I can move these away from each other. But there we go. I can do that, and I can fiberglass inside that little piece there, and then fiberglass over all of it, which will then join them together. I know it's not ideal. It would have been easy to do it as one mould, but as one mould, I'd have to fiberglass all of these surfaces in this tight confinement. It would have been very difficult. So yeah. Now the next job is get this piece into the boat, cut it, shape it, and get it to fit nicely, and then we'll get them together. And today we have got Mark coming up. I've not seen him for a while. We did agree 9 o'clock, and look, I don't know if you can see that, but it's 10:30 and he's still not here. He needs a slap. I bet if this was a fishing trip he'd be there, wouldn't he? So anyway, gonna get on with all of this boat stuff now, and then probably start doing some fiberglass inside that boat. Mark's gonna be sanding, hopefully. Yeah, we'll get in there. Well, this is the next day again. I think it's like day 3 on this video. Behind me, I'm hiding out of shot. The bulkhead is complete. You obviously seen where I put it into that mould. I fiberglassed the little piece in between. I built that up back level with the original fiberglass of the bulkhead, and then I went over all of it. And I've pulled out the mould this morning, and it's spot on. I'll show you now. Well, as you can see, that's the bulkhead there. So if I show you inside it, it's worked perfectly. You can see that's the centre part that I've done, and then I've glassed over all of it and up the sides like this. So we have got some braces there because these parts I'm trying to pull in. And then on the face of it, some resin has seeped out, as you'll see, but I can flat this back. It's got to be flatted back before I sand it anyway. But there's the bulkhead, right there. After I pulled the clay, I've noticed a few little air bubbles in this. I don't know why that's happened on this edge. It's not a bad thing, I can sort that out. It's only tiny. And this one turned out spot on. So that's the bulkhead done. I've had to do a little bit of trimming down that edge, just to make sure it fits in the boat nicely, and it does. So yeah, there we go. There's the steering bulkhead. The plan is have a door on the back of here. So I can just, a little door that I can open. All my electrics will be screwed to that box. The electrics will be coming in through here. This is along where the pipe runs up, so the wiring's going to run in along here and then up. So I just can keep things nice and tidy. So that's the bulkhead. What I need to do now is sand all of this around the edge. Well, I'd say flap disc it really, to get a good key. Because as you know, if you look at this, how smooth it is, it's actually that smooth, it's shiny. I'm using laminating resin, as you know, in all my videos, but because this has been in a mould and it's cut the air off to it, this has actually gone hard. It's completely gone off. You cannot glass back over it. So what I have to do is grind around the edges so I can get a good key for the fiberglass. The whole panel is going to need sanding, 80 grit probably, and then I'll prime it, and then we'll get it painted once everything's ready. So yeah, that's it. What I'm going to do is end the video here, and we're going to get on with other jobs. There is going to be a live bait tank video. I'm doing two sort of videos with that. One is part of the restoration, so it'll be clips and bits and bobs, but I am going to do a full in detail video of doing the live bait tank build. I think it could help people out if they wanted to build their own. So yeah, here's the boat. The deadline for May is looking really good at the moment. I think I can do it. Mark did turn up as well, actually. He turned up just after 11 o'clock. I'll show you around the front quickly what he did. So Mark turned up and he did sanding around the edge of here. It is slow work sanding it back because you need to keep the sanders flat and try and get the surface as flat as possible. That was a mistake I made with the hull. We didn't keep it flat. So that's why it took so much more time to get the hull looking like it does with that nice shine on the paint. I want the top the same. This area here is going to be a nightmare because it's raw fiberglass. That's going to take a lot of work. But yeah, it's taking shape now. It does actually look good. I like it. So yeah, I'll end this video here. Thank you for watching. I hope you picked up a few tips or learnt something possibly with that bulkhead mould. If you have enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. There is a playlist for this boat restoration. It's been going on for 3 years. I don't know how many videos there is, to be honest, probably 20 something videos. I've covered every single step, so you can see it from day one until now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.